Well, in just a few weeks, the Red Sox are going to be getting a game-changing bat to return to their team. That bat is going to be Triston Casas, a first base star for the Red Sox. We're going to take a look at the report, and then following that report, we're going to look into all of the stats and his impact that he'll bring. So welcome back to Red Sox Digest. Long time no see. I'm Evan Sharrard, and we're going to be talking about Triston Casas today, starting off with the report, which was done by Kerry Miller on, I believe it was Sports Illustrated, or Bleacher Report, rather. This is a Bleacher Report article. So you can see the headline, Injured MLB Players Who Will Have the Biggest Impact on the 2024 Playoff Races, and Triston Casas was one of those guys. Casas finally finishing his rehab assignment after more than 3 months out. That was due to the injury that he took back 3 months ago. And so far, he's been good in Worcester. Romy Gonzalez and Dominic Smith have kind of been the replacements for him. Romy Gonzalez playing all over the field. Dominic Smith more at that first base position. But Miller claims that Casas is going to be a game changer when the Red Sox get him back, and I could not agree more. So without further ado, let's take a look at his stats. We're going to move over to first looking at his basic stats here. He's hit 6 home runs so far this season, batted 10 in, has a .344 on-base percentage, which is pretty solid, and his OPS plus is 132. So in the games that he's played, he has been exceptional. Now, with that being said, he's not batting as well as you might think he is, and he has struck out 26 times in the games that he's played so far. So we'll take a look at more of his advanced stats here in a second, but Triston Casas has not played enough this season to qualify in statistical categories. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before we look at some of his stats. So with that being said, let's take a look at his 2023 stats. This is what he was like last year in Baseball Savant. Red's good, Blue's bad. Anything else is just in between. These are all percentile rankings. So you can see, I'll bring these a little bigger up for you. His expected WOBA was in the 92nd percentile. Batting average was right around average, just below average by 3 percentile points. And then his expected slugging, well up there in the 88th percentile. Exit velocity, barrel rate, hard hit, sweet spot on the bat. All really good numbers. So Casas hits the ball hard. He's a great batter. Now, for some reason, the bat speed and the squared up percentage aren't here. We can kind of ignore that because we know that he's a great batter based on those stats just above. His chase rate, exceptional. However, when he does swing, he whiffs a lot and he strikes out a lot. But he walks more than most hitters in all of baseball. Not just more than most, more than pretty much everyone. That's 93 in the 93rd percentile. That's exceptional. So Triston Casas, a very disciplined bat, and that's what the Red Sox need. I've been talking about it for a while now, that the Red Sox offense has been superb this season, and it hasn't quite fully changed from the narrative that I was speaking of just before the trade deadline, where the Red Sox offense's one problem is driving in base runners. They've left more than most teams in Major League Baseball. They've left more runners on base than most teams in Major League Baseball, and that is key to winning games, is driving in those runners when you get them on second and third base, especially second and third. Those are scoring position. So Triston Casas can certainly help the Red Sox do that with his discipline, and if he's hitting the ball, he's probably going to be hitting it into gaps based on that expected slugging percentage and the hard hit rate. So really excited to get Triston Casas back. These are his numbers so far through this season. Here as we get them up here, it's harder to see, so I'll pull these up bigger again. These are all kind of crossed out with that white line in between because he doesn't qualify, and this is not really with very many games played, but you can see the batting average, the expected batting average is way down, but his barrel rate's still up there, the walk rate's still high as ever, and his chase rate's still really good. And the keys that I'm really worried about with Casas are his bottom 4 here: the chase, the whiff, the K, and the walk rate. Because if he's chasing, then that means that his value as a hitter is depleting, because Casas is not known as a guy who makes contact a lot, but he is known as a guy who swings at pitches that are strikes, and when he hits those pitches, he hits them hard. And these stats do back up these stats. So when we look at these two kind of in comparison, they're pretty similar. kind of got off to a slower start than Triston Casas finished in 2023, but these are the 2024, these are the 2023. So those are his stats. I had a good look at them now. And let's kind of get into sort of his impact for this team. We are talking about the Boston Red Sox of 2024, a team that's in the playoff chase right now. And this is Triston Casas, and this is Dominic Smith, who's currently playing first base for the Red Sox and has been for the majority of the season. So we're going to go back and forth here just so you can kind of get a look at the comparison. So Dominic Smith came up in Major League Baseball with the New York Mets about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that. But Dom Smith, 29 years old, and this guy was touted for being an offensive first baseman. He never really turned out with the Mets, and his power stats haven't fully been there this season. He's got an OPS plus just 1 under average, and he has been, I'd say, an average baseball player. I mean, he's clearly a major leaguer. He's walked 24 times, batted in 34, but he's only hit 6 home runs, so the power just really hasn't been there like is expected from a guy that's playing first base. Triston Casas, on the other hand, in comparison, playing far fewer games, has already hit 6 home runs. So you can kind of get the look there. The sample size is very different. Like, you see the 230 at-bats compared to 78. It's just not even close. But with that said, Casas has walked half the amount of times Dominic Smith has in about a third of the plate appearances. So take with that what you will. The stolen bases, you're not going to get many from either of these guys, not particularly fast. And the strikeout rate is better for Smith than it is for Casas. So overall, you're going to be getting a first baseman who is very disciplined as a hitter, not a great defender. The Red Sox even put Connor Wong over there at first base because it's notable that Dominic Smith's not the best defender either. He's made some nice web gems this year, but Casas is a little bit clunkier over there at first base. But the offensive impact is without a doubt immeasurable comparatively to the rest of the players that the Red Sox have played at first base this year, except for Connor Wong. But Connor Wong's played a few games there, and he's usually a catcher, and his offensive impact is not going to nullify one of these other guys because he's playing catcher, and then Danny Jansen comes in to substitute for him if he's playing anywhere else, which I don't mind the option. But when you're talking about the rest of this Red Sox team, Masataka Yoshida is not fast, and he's not a great defender. Great is not fair. He's not a good defender. He is a subpar Major League Baseball defender in the outfield. So primarily he played left. Red Sox tried him out there. He made a few nice plays, but overall was a liability. And so he's the designated hitter in this team. So Triston Casas does slide into first base, which brings this dilemma up of where do we put Dominic Smith and where do we put Romy Gonzalez? Because Gonzalez tore up AAA for the past month, which is why he's back in the major leagues. He can play pretty much every position that's not catcher, although I wouldn't be surprised if he could do an okay job at that if Alex Cora decided to ask, hey, can you lace up those big pads that usually the guys that play behind the backstop wear? And he'd say, yeah, sure, I guess I can. It's kind of what Brock Holt was like with the Red Sox. Romy Gonzalez is fitting into that Brock Holt role pretty well so far this year. So that's kind of the impact Casas is going to bring, is he's going to drive in runs and he's going to get on base. And in a heated playoff race where the Red Sox have been playing like one of the better teams in baseball, they're still sitting a few games out of the third wildcard spot. Currently, the game against the Royals will be going on tonight. That's the third game of the series. Red Sox have taken the first two. They can take the third one. They'll make up another spot against the Royals, and the Royals are holding that third spot. But the AL Central has been much more competitive this year, so it's not just the Guardians and the Twins that are fighting it out. It does include the Royals, so it's been an exciting year of baseball so far. Triston Casas should only make it more exciting for the Red Sox. We're hoping that he'll fit into the middle of the order, and then you start to talk about a Red Sox order that's pretty crowded. I mean, where do you put Tyler O'Neill? He's got the speed to play in the top half of the order in the 2 range, but Jarren Duran's guaranteed this leadoff hitter. And then David Hamilton's another guy. Like, who do you play? Do you platoon David Hamilton against righties because he's a left-handed bat? Is his speed too valuable that you have to play him every day? Do you put Romy Gonzalez in platooning versus lefties because he's a righty bat? Is he hitting too well right now that you have to start him every day? It's the best possible problem to have in baseball is I have too many players who are playing really well and I don't know where to put them. And that's where the Red Sox are about to be in. So I'd be really excited to see whether they're going to play Casas at first rather than DH, which I think they will. And I'm thinking the lineup's going to look something like Duran leading off, playing in the outfield, wherever they want to put him, left or center. Batting second, that's really open to me. I mean, there are times where they put Devers there, but he bats usually third or fourth. I'd say he probably finishes in this fourth spot. And then, but do you put Casas at fourth because you really want the discipline with the guys on base? I mean, Casas is fitting in that 3, 4, 5 spot to me, and he does bat well versus lefties. So it's a tough spot to be in if you're Alex Cora. I'm thinking 1 Duran, 2 O'Neill. You got the lefty, the righty. The lefty will be Devers or Casas, and then Casas or Devers. And then batting fifth, well, you also have to include Connor Wong. So Connor Wong or Tyler O'Neill, interchangeable. That's the top 5. All 5 of those guys are really good hitters. And Duran brings the speed. O'Neill brings the not as much speed, but speed and power. Devers brings the power. Casas brings the discipline and the power. Not so much the average that Devers brings. And then the rest of the lineup from there. But do you put Hamilton at second base? Do you put Gonzalez there? And then what are we doing with Yoshida? Like, is Yoshida batting 6th as the designated hitter? Do we include him in the top 4? It's a tough spot to be in, but it's exciting to see where Casas is going to fit into this lineup. He should be back really soon. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. I'm Evan Sharrard saying so long for Red Sox Digest once again.